Russian President Vladimir Putin will be coming to India in December for the 23rd annual summit with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And there is tremendous talk about Russia making a never-before-seen offer for a fifth-generation fighter jet to ink the deal on the Su-57 fifth-generation stealth fighter jet. And this offer, we are told, includes full transfer of technology, of course, in stages. So on the sidelines of the Dubai Air Show, Sergei Chemezov, the CEO of the Rostec Corporation, which is a defense conglomerate in Russia, spoke of this offer, which includes transfer of technology, manufacture in India, in stages, of course, fighter jet engines, sensors, radars, and even stealth material. So what should India make of this project or this offer? And should India go ahead with it, what would it mean for India's own AMCA fifth-generation fighter jet project? We shall discuss that in greater detail. We have the best military minds and aviators with me on this special edition of Battlecry. Air Marshal Anil Chopra, former Mirage 2000 pilot, former chief of Center of Air Power Studies, someone who incidentally did his flying instructor course with my other guest, Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, former Flag Officer Commanding-in-Chief, Western Naval Command, former Grey Eagle, a former fighter pilot himself, and of course, flying high as always, my colleague Sandeep Unnithan, senior journalist. But before that, a quick look at what's on offer. India and Russia are in talks for the acquisition and in some cases, co-production. Now, some of these deals could be between $10 to $15 billion over the next 10 years. So first, we'll talk about the Su-57E fifth-generation stealth fighter jet. What we are being told, full unrestricted technology transfer for the Su-57E, including licensed production in India, manufacturing of engines, sensors, stealth material, avionics, and air weapons. Joint development of the two-seat variant tailored specifically for Indian Air Force requirements, potentially permitting integration of made-in-India weapons and systems on the Su-57E. Does that mean make it a good deal for India? We debate. Additional S-400 Triumph air defense systems, and we are told up to 5 more S-400 air defense systems to complement the existing 3. 2 more are to be delivered, one by 2026 and the 5th 2027. There is a delay in the existing contract. What is also on offer are improved Akula-class submarines. Project 636 submarines, improved versions of the Akula-class operated by the Indian Navy. We are told these are likely to be fitted with the caliber long-range cruise missiles, can be delivered in 5 years from inking the deal, and that is likely to address India's conventional submarine shortage, and especially look at what's happening in our environment and neighborhood. What is also being discussed are 2 additional Akula-class SSNs, the nuclear-powered attack submarines, to add to the Chopra 3, which is currently being refurbished for the Indian Navy, and the lease could begin 2028. So India signed a $3 billion deal for refurbishing and leasing the Chopra 3. This deal was inked in 2019. So let's now take this step by step. Let's first talk about the Su-57 offer. Sandeep, since you have details of conversations, what's the conversation in India about Su-57 and the Russian offer?
Well, Gaurav, given the fact that China already has such a huge fifth-generation fighter fleet, it's the only country, apart from the United States, to have 2 fully functional in-service fifth-generation fighter aircraft. It's a matter of time before Pakistan also gets the fifth-generation fighter aircraft. You're going to be looking at 2 of our neighbors, not so friendly neighbors, with fifth-generation fighter aircraft. This is something that the Indian Air Force badly needs. Our own indigenous AMCA is going to be at least a decade away. And in the stopgap, we need something to fill in this gap. And that is where the Su-57 comes in. That is what the Indian Air Force is looking at. A stopgap, a couple of squadrons of fifth-generation fighter aircraft to plug this gap before India's AMCA comes online by the end of the 2030s or so, a decade from now.
But if we are talking about transfer of technology, if we are talking about manufacturing engines, if we are talking about avionics, is this then just two squadrons or two squadrons to buy for now Air Marshal Chopra. Does that help plug the gap when it comes to air power vis-a-vis our neighbors?
Thank you, Gaurav, for having me on the show with two great stalwarts, both of whom I respect. And whether we require the fifth generation aircraft, undoubtedly we need. And we need it very, very quickly. And as Sandeep mentioned, that our neighbors are already having in large numbers, especially the Chinese. And where are we? We are at LCA Mark 1. The 1A has yet to come to Indian Air Force, will perhaps come in March this year. I hope it does, because so there is a gap. If that is the state of 1A, then you can imagine how far AMCA is, and therefore there is a need for us to have something interim. Whether it's 2 squadrons, 4 squadrons, the IF will decide whether in any case we have no other aircraft on offer. The F-35 is not on offer, so Su-57. Now, you remember in FGFA, in earlier program, we have walked off for some reasons, but now Su-57 has moved on. Larger numbers have been produced. The overall orders are already 72 with the Russian Air Force. 45 are already flying, more are under production, and production will go up. India will set up a production house, as you rightly brought out, that it will have, in stages, the indigenization will increase. We'll get technologies of a variety of kind. And therefore, I think it's a good bet. But the caveat is at no cost must the AMCA be put on a hold. The AMCA has to succeed for India to sit on the global high table of...
And this is the point I was just coming to, Admiral Sinha. Will this willy-nilly adversely impact our own AMCA 5th generation fighter jet project? Are we repeating history? You know, in an emergency, two squadrons of purchases, first with the Mirage 2000s, then with the MiG-29s, then with the Rafales, and now with Su-57s.
Well, thank you, Gaurav, to have invited me on the show. And nice to see my very dear friends, both Sandeep and Air Marshal Chopra. As far as these inductions are concerned, if it is going to hurt the AMCA project, then it's not a very good deal. Because stopgap 2 squadrons, as Air Marshal Chopra is saying, absolutely fine. But once you start making license production here or manufacturing everything here, the government will not be able to spend so much of money on 2 projects.
Absolutely.
One on AMCA. I mean, having served for almost 3.5 years in IDS and seen how do the government function. On the same project, Gaurav, 2 different streams and costing as much, if not more, is a little tough call for the government, really. So I would say that what Marshal Chopra is suggesting, that 2 squadrons to fill in the blank, yes, very good. But license manufacturing here, I would say to take their help for manufacturing AMCA rather than setting up a full factory of these 57.